so in love with you.
Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be 100% genuinely, spectacularly bonkers, you guys. So today's video is the top 5 questions about the housing market. I'm making this video just basically for my subscribers. I think it's very interesting what people are searching for these days when it comes to the housing market and when it comes to where to live. It used to be where's the safest place to live, but now it's things like when should I buy? Everything has to do right now with when should I buy. Now, I want to, my channel right now, you guys, it's growing so fast. I wanted to give the opportunity to anyone that has newly subscribed just to learn a little bit about me real quick. So I've recently started renting. I've decided to sit out of the housing market and wait for the housing market to transition back into a buyer's market before I purchase another primary residence. What I have done recently is I've converted my current primary residence into a rental, okay? So I'm actually renting out my old primary residence and I'm renting myself. And here's the thing, you guys, I believe so strongly that there's gonna be a housing market crash. I displaced my wife and children. We actually downsized into a rental. So it's a little bit difficult to live here. And also, I really hate paying rent, but I wanted to be transparent with you guys. I am looking every single day. I honestly, me and my wife, we want to purchase real estate desperately, but better no deal than a bad deal. So anyways, we're going to get started on this video today. I'm not going to read an article this time. It's going to be more of a video, and it's from a RedFin. Usually you guys love things from CoreLogic, from RedFin. So I'm going to kind of stick with CoreLogic, RedFin, and Zillow and just analyze what they're saying. Now, as you're watching this video, pay attention to the question and then pay attention to the answers from this lady. I think her answers are totally horrible. I wouldn't give the same answers. I think some of it is horrible advice, but let's start taking a look and let's watch this short video right now. Oh, I'm sorry. As you guys know, I am not a financial advisor. I'm an opinion sharer. I have been a realtor for about 10 years. I've been a loan officer for 2 decades, and I've been a CE instructor teacher for about 3 years. So teaching is in my blood. I absolutely love teaching. Where I get rewarded is watching people get empowered from things that I help them with. I absolutely love that. So I hope you guys are learning. And if you could hit like on this video, you guys hit like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Let's watch this video.
Hi, my name is Daryl Fairweather. I am the Chief Economist at RedFin, and I'm here today to answer the 5 most Googled questions about the housing market. So let's get into it. Question 1, is the housing market going to crash? I don't think the housing market is going to crash, at least not this year. What we have right now is a housing market where there is a ton of demand and very limited supply. Supply is more than 20% lower than it was last year, but there's just as much demand. So when you have more buyers than there are homes, the only thing that can happen is the price of homes goes up and people start competing for homes. So that's why the housing market feels so unhinged right now, but it doesn't mean the market is going to crash because people still have plenty of equity in their homes. And the true value of the home is actually going up because more people want homes than there are homes for sale.
At least she says it's not going to crash at least this year. So maybe she's leaving some more room in her opinion that it will crash next year. But overall, you guys, it's because of the fundamentals being unhinged that essentially I believe there's a housing market crash. And I also believe that the bubble is getting worse because of the lack of inventory. I don't think because of the lack of inventory that the housing market is immune to a crash. I only think it's making it worse, as it always does. This is nothing new, you guys. What's really kind of crazy is how it's going to work with inflation. And it is possible we have a stagflation type of situation, which is much worse than a recession. Anyways, you guys, so the number one question is, are we going to have a housing market crash? You guys already know my opinion. I absolutely believe we are, and I believe it's going to start this year, Q4 of 2022. And I believe purchasing real estate in 2023 is going to be some of the best times to purchase. Let's take a look at the next question now. This is the number 2.
Question 2, when will the housing market crash? So I can see the housing market getting out of hand in a couple of ways. If people start speculating on homes, if they start expecting that home prices will always go up and they start buying homes just to sell them, then that can be a real problem and lead to a housing bubble, which could lead to a crash. We're seeing an uptick in investor activity. It's been increasing and it's up to 18% now and may increase even more. If investor activity starts to really surge and people are just buying homes to speculate on them, then I would consider that a warning sign the housing market could crash. All right, question.
Okay. I want you guys to do me a favor. Comment below if that was also a very confusing answer. That answer was totally confusing to me as far as when she said when. So I think what she's saying, if people buy homes and speculate with them, then that's what's going to lead to a housing market crash. When I believe the reality of a housing market crash is a surge in equity that basically breaks the fundamentals of the market, whether it's an investor or a normal person buying. So that's a really confusing answer. I actually replayed that like 3 times to try to figure out what she was saying, and I still don't have it right. So comment, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I just don't understand, but comment below. Let me know if you even think that was a good answer. Now, my answer to the number 2 question, which is essentially when will the market crash? I believe, again, that's going to start at the end of this year, not the beginning of Q4. I believe it's going to be the end of Q4. It's going to be the start of the crash. I believe in 2023, it will bottom out sometime. But that's my overall opinion, you guys. As you know, let's move on to the next question right now.
Why is the housing market so high right now? So one of the reasons that prices are so high is what we talked about, that demand is outpacing supply. On the supply side, a reason that supply is so low is because we just haven't built enough homes in this country for everybody who wants them. Millennials are the biggest generation. We're moving out, we're starting our own households. And unfortunately, we didn't really build enough homes in the last decade. There were fewer homes built in the 2010s than any decade going back to the 1960s. So there's all this demand coming from millennials and really no supply, or not enough supply. Question.
Well, I understand what she's saying as far as millennials and, the demand, and obviously the demand is out of control, but why as to why it's so high? I think what she really needs to pinpoint is not just the supply and demand, it's the stimulus, okay? All of that free money, so many people got free money from the stimulus, but not only the stimulus, the lockdown. When we were locked down, that did way more damage than I think we realized. It essentially stopped all the new home builders, which is who we desperately need to make inventory. So lockdown, stimulus, and also super duper cheap money. Almost anyone that wanted to buy a house, that had decent credit, that had a solid job, could buy a house because the rates were in the 2 and 3%. So it was the most affordable ever, yet we had the fewest supply ever. So most affordable, yet fewest supply. It's going to form a housing market bubble. And I think we need a better definition as a community what a housing market bubble is, and also what a housing market crash is. But overall, that's why I think the housing market is high right now. Obviously, COVID. I'm just going to say COVID, 100% COVID. Millennials, I get it, but it is 100% COVID. Let's move on to the next.
4, is the housing market slowing down? In a way, the housing market is slowing down. Price growth is not as high as it was back in 2020 when it was peaking. And that's because mortgage rates are going up. Mortgage rates, when they go up, they make borrowing to buy a home more expensive, and that can cause demand to cool down a bit. We haven't seen demand cool down enough, though, for prices to start slowing down, because there are still so many people out there who want a home and not enough homes for sale. Question 5.
Okay, you guys, so is the housing market slowing down? Now, I can tell you this. Not all cities are the same, okay? In my area, which is Houston, for the most part, it's maybe slowing down a little bit because we have more inventory right now that's coming onto the market and the prices seem more reasonable. But my subscribers who are commenting on my channel, many of them have said already in their area that is actually already slowing down. People are putting their houses, relisting their houses at lower prices, and contracts are falling through. Now, remember, I said when the rates go up, it's going to affect people's debt to income ratio, which essentially is going to cancel their loan, right? Their loan approval. Again, just my opinion. But what I'm saying is I absolutely already think the housing market is slowing down in certain areas. Unfortunately, it's not really slowing down in Texas. We are a huge migration state, just like Florida. So I think Florida and Texas, we're going to lag behind most of the nation as far as the cool down process. Let's go to the last question, question number 5 now.
When will the housing market get better? If the Fed continues to raise interest rates, that could slow down demand because it makes buying a home more expensive, but that isn't really making the housing market better. It just means that there are fewer people who can afford to borrow to buy a home. The only way to make the housing market better, meaning more affordable for everyone, is to build more. I keep repeating myself. I sound like a broken record, but that really is the answer. So if I were you and I were upset about how expensive housing has gotten, I would reach out to my local politicians and tell them that I want more homes built in my neighborhood. It could take time. It's not going to be fixed overnight, but that is the only real solution to why the housing market is so unbearable for buyers right now. This is fun to do. Keep Googling your questions about the housing market and I'll keep trying to answer them.
You guys, at least she's kind of acknowledging that it is this toxic seller's market right now. And I do like what she said about the fact that we definitely need more home builders to build more homes. Now, here's one of the reasons why, home builders aren't going absolutely crazy. And that is because they learned from the 2008 housing market crash. Essentially, new home builders have to front all of their own money, so it's risky for them to essentially build spec homes and to hold inventory. So the new home builders right now are being cautious, and their cautiousness is essentially making things worse, which to them may not be a bad thing because they get to sell their houses nonetheless. So it's that the risk thing on the home builders, but also the supply chains need to continue to loosen up. But again, I think that's going to start changing this year into 2023. But I don't necessarily, I think some new home builders may go out of business from overbuilding, but I just don't see that happening. I think they're very intelligent overall. I think the biggest threat to new home builders right now is canceling of contracts, right? So because it may take 6 months to 8 months to build a house, with the rate surges going up, a lot of the people that have been under contract will no longer qualify for that home, right? So in conclusion, you guys, we're definitely in a situation still where we have historically low inventory and we have never needed new home builders to put more inventory on the market. Now, this is also my opinion, essentially, I believe that all of the trends for inventory right now is going up. Foreclosures have started. Resale homes are about to keep listing like crazy because we're going into spring and we're going into summer. Plus, new home builders, they're still building like crazy. Not like crazy, but they're still building like crazy. So we have all of these things pushing inventory up. And then we have all of these other things pushing demand down. Look no further than the raising interest rates. But on top of the raising and surging interest rates, we have inflation to everyday items. Essentially, what I'm saying, you guys, right now, it's a dust up, right? It's crazy. Things are crazy right now. I believe one of the best things that we can do if we're trying to invest in real estate right now is stay patient and let the dust settle so that we can see the playing field. And that's part of the reason I'm actually doing these videos, because I want to buy also. And I want to learn exactly when the right time to buy is, because my family and I are going to purchase, and I am going crazy, you guys, renting a house. I don't even have a primary residence. I can't believe that. That's crazy to me. But again, this situation, in my eyes, it warrants renting for a little longer because I need to see the dust settle so that I can see the playing field. And I will take you guys along that journey with me. Now, if you're out there investing in real estate, I wish you luck and I hope you win.